What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners video for today's 9-game MLB slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. It's Monday, we've got 9 games today, so help me keep the energy up and momentum we got going last week. Like this video right now and leave a comment down below. Give me your favorite pick today to hit a home run. We did have our first guy who picked a double down correctly in the comments, at least that I saw, so I'll be giving that guy a special shout out at the end of the video. But for right now, like this video and leave a comment down below about your favorite home run hitter today. The first corner I'm going to hit on today are the top pitchers on today's slate, and Garrett Cole is going to be a popular option going against Kansas City today. He's expected to be the top-owned option industry-wide with 43% on DraftKings, 25% on FanDuel, and 51% on Yahoo. The Kansas City lineup does pose some danger with the top 6 all above a 102 WRC plus going back to last year. But Cole has been elite this year with a 13.5 K per 9 number, as well as a 16.2% swinging strike rate and a 32.7% chase rate. All these numbers indicate that Cole's strikeout should be there as long as he keeps throwing it as he has. The stuff looks good here. The Royals aren't a bad team, but you're trusting the talent here. I do think Garrett Cole is worth the ownership that he's going to have projected for him today on every site. Cole Hamels also looks pretty good versus Miami, with just 2.8 implied runs against him being the lowest on today's slate. Miami's been hitting 225 with a 63 WRC plus and a .096 ISO versus left-hand pitching so far in 2019. And Hamels has been steady, even though he doesn't have blowaway stuff. He looks fine enough to justify some ownership here. Miami, not a good team, whether they're hitting away from home or not. Hamels would be better if he had the spot in Miami, but being in Chicago is fine because Miami's still bad enough. It might not matter. So don't mind Hamels here, and I think he's worth the ownership he's also projected for. Max Scherzer going into Milwaukee is also an interesting spot, given that he has 3.8 implied runs against him, and Milwaukee does have a 26.3% K rate and a 238 batting average versus right-hand pitching so far in 2019. Scherzer's been unlucky this year with 9.1 hits per 9 allowed, largely due to his 380 BABIP, which is very high. BABIP, of course, batting average on balls in play. You'd expect that to be lower because, again, the ball's in the field of play. Guys can catch that, but Scherzer has been unlucky there. There's going to be lots of tough power in Milwaukee, but Scherzer can have a big day. This is one spot where I'm going to have some Scherzer. I think I'll also have some Brewers on the other side. Scherzer can get blown up here, but I think it's more likely he gives up a couple one-off home runs and has still a good day overall. So I don't mind Scherzer here, even though this is going to be a tough environment to him to go into. The next corner I want to hit are the top stacks on today's slate, and a Boston stack going against John Means will be a popular option today. Their 5.2 implied runs are going to be the highest on today's slate. The stack is currently looking to be one of the highest owned everywhere industry-wide. Means can get Ks. He does have a 14.7% swinging strike rate, but he does give up a ton of solid contact and can cause problems versus a team like Boston. The top 5 of Boston looks best, but Steve Pearce is also a nice value hitting 7th. A couple ways you can attack the stack here, and Means, a guy who I do like. I've talked about him enough here. He's been good sometimes, he's bad sometimes. I think this is a spot where I expect him to be bad. The Vegas total backs it out, and Boston, just a team who's rounding into form right at a bad time to be facing John Means. A St. Louis stack versus Vince Velasquez also looks pretty good here with 4.8 implied runs in their favor, and ownership's mostly just going to be on Matt Carpenter due to Vince Velasquez's lefty struggles with a 1.54 whip and a 4% home run rate allowed to lefties. Paul Goldschmidt, Paul DeJong, Marcelo Zuna, and Jose Martinez are all decently priced as a group. They do have some upside here. Again, Vince Velasquez not that good on the year like much of the Phillies pitching staff. I think it's a good spot here to go against them. Going to be a lower owned one besides Matt Carpenter, so I don't mind it at all. A Houston stack versus Jacob Junis also looks pretty good with 5.1 implied runs going for them. It's a decent spot here for a pricey stack, but it could be worth it with guys like George Springer, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and Michael Brantley all above a 120 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. Junis has allowed 10.2 hits per 9 in 2019, and his 3% home run rate actually seems due for some negative regression given that he had a 4% rate going back to last year. Houston's always a good stack to go to. I think today their price is high enough where people won't be getting there a ton. It's a nice spot here versus Junis, a guy who can get blown up quite a bit. The next corner I want to hit on are some of the lower owned options on today's slate, and a Toronto stack going against Martin Perez fits that criteria. They're getting 4.4 implied runs for them, and they have decent prices, so it should result in some ownership coming up quite a bit for me in Fantasy Cruncher today. Martin Perez has been better this year, but he's still at a 4.7 xFIP, and he's allowed 8.9 hits per 9. Top 4 for Toronto is appealing, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. has to start hitting at some point down in the 5 hole expected in the projected lineup. It's a decent spot here for Toronto. They're a value team. Perez, a guy who does seem like he's due to have some worse days than he's had so far this year. I think it's a decent spot to go to Toronto, and you're probably going to get him again on your optimizer if you are using our projections at Awesemo.com. Jacob deGrom at San Diego is another pitcher I want to talk about today with 3.3 implied runs against him, and deGrom, who should benefit from being at a pitcher's park with a 3.5% home run rate and 39.2% fly ball rate in 2019, contributing to a lot of his problems. deGrom's not cheap at all, but he may end up being lower owned due to the West Coast start and a plethora of options up top at pitcher. deGrom in a good spot here versus San Diego, again into a pitcher's park. It's a nice spot for him to get on track. Josh Smith at Baltimore is picking up the start today, and he gets 4.2 implied runs against him. And Smith's picking up this first start of the year at a very cheap price versus the Baltimore team who's hitting 238 versus right-hand pitching this year. Alex Cora says Josh Smith will get 12 to 15 outs, so there's some hope for some upside here. Baltimore team who does strike out a bit, doesn't get on base very well, and Smith is close to the minimum price everywhere industry-wide, so I think that's the reason you would go to him. Not a guy with a ton of upside, but a guy who can open up up some more of the higher price stacks. And I also like the idea of a Washington stack going against Julius Chassin and Miller Park. Washington's getting 3.7 implied runs for them, which is not great, but Chassin has a 7.7% swing strike rate. He's allowed a 4.9% home run rate and a 5.7 xFIP so far in 2019. Chassin is significantly worse for lefties, and this current Washington lineup looks very righty heavy, but he's still worth some exposure here. It's a positive hitter's park again in Miller Park. It's a spot here with this Washington lineup does have some potential. Chassin, a guy who hasn't looked good so far in the year. The last corner I want to hit on today are the one-offs that I like the most on today's slate, and Michael Chavis going against John Means is a guy I want to bring up. His production is likely unsustainable, but Chavis so far this year is not getting a ton of ownership, but he's got a 333 batting average, 392 ISO, and a 9.5% home run rate so far in 2019. Chavis is a guy with a lot of pop. His price is up, so I mean, there is some reasons not to go there if you expect him to negatively regress, but I think he's got a ton of potential. He's shown us a lot this year. He's also hitting a ton of home runs, getting guys on base before him as well, which adds some value when he does hit those home runs. I like Chavis quite a bit today. Matt Carpenter versus Vince Velasquez is a guy we talked about before, but Carpenter will be highly owned today, as I mentioned, with his drop price on DK and FanDuel. The lefty splits versus Velasquez, though, are highly appealing, as I mentioned before, a few of them, but the fact that he has 9.9 hits per nine and a 4% home run rate allows the lefties in particular jump out. Carpenter's a good player. He's due for some positive regression. He's going to be cheap. He's going to be highly owned. I don't know, do you want to match his full ownership, but I think having some exposure to him as a one-off and as part of a St. Louis stack makes a lot of sense. Christian Yelich going against Max Scherzer will not be a popular option today, but Yelich going back to Miller Park is going to be a positive thing for him. He's been a much better hitter there, and even though Scherzer is nasty, Yelich is bringing a 332 batting average, a 311 ISO, and a 6.7% home run rate versus right-hand pitching this year. He's hard to ignore anytime he's under 10% ownership, and obviously people are going to be on Scherzer pretty heavily. Yelich people are not going to be on, so there is a bit of leverage there. So I think Scherzer can have a decent day, but Yelich is going to bring it regardless. I think Yelich is an interesting spot here. Again, not going to be highly owned, but he does have a ton of potential versus a guy in Scherzer who has given up some damage this year, even in games in which he's had good starts. As I mentioned on Friday's video, the person who picked a double dong correctly would get a special shout out today, and the person who did that is in fact me. Kettle Marte, my favorite one-off, hit a double dong in Coors, so great job by me. Congratulations, Chris. You're the best. You did it. Actually, the guy who did it on Friday was in fact this guy right here, Matthew Patelli. Picked Gary Sanchez to pick 2 home runs. Gary Sanchez is a very high price option, but did hit those 2 home runs, so shows sometimes it can be worth it to pay up for a guy who's not a great value. Gary Sanchez did it. Matthew Patelli, you did it with the power of Gary Sanchez, so congratulations to you. But everybody else, please like the video right now and leave a comment down below. Give me your favorite home run pick for today's slate. We'll do another double dong shout out contest coming up soon on a bigger slate, but for right now, we got 9 games, so just like the video right now. Comment your favorite home run pick today down below. And use this promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first month at Osmo.com. We've got some exciting announcements today, including our launch of Fantasy Cruncher Pro in conjunction with the fine team over there at Fantasy Cruncher. You can now get that access as well over at Osmo.com. So check it out. Use the promo code Switch and Hedge for half off any of the packages we have on that first month. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Four Corners video, so good luck.